शरणु सिद्धि विनायक शरणु विद्या प्रदायक शरणु पार्वती तनय मूर्ति शरणु मूषक वाहना शरणु शरणु शरणु. Thank you.
When it comes to talent, singing is an art and singing is a science when it comes to delivery. It takes years of practice to know how to deliver talent via various platforms. And for it to sound so melodious, even online and in real time, it surely is a miracle. Thank you so much, Dr. Manjula, for the melodious invocation. Thank you so much. I now request Dr. N. Sanjeev Raja, Associate Professor, Department of Communication, Bangalore University, to please welcome the members to this International Conference of Media Education. Over to you, sir.
Morning greetings. Sri B.S. Yediyurappa, our Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Karnataka, Dr. C. N. Ashwath Narayan, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, Government of Karnataka, Professor Venugopal K.R., Honorable Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University, esteemed dignitaries, media experts, and distinguished guests. It's my profound happiness to welcome everyone on behalf of the Department of Communication, Bangalore City, Bangalore. Media education owns a legacy to hold, a future to build. As our tagline says, we have all come together here today to honor and celebrate this journey. As the torchbearers of media education, it's indeed my pleasure to welcome all the dignitaries who have joined us today on this esteemed forum. COVID-19 have disrupted the entire functioning of the world, but still we believe that commitment and involvement at all levels would always lead for the success. And today we have come into assembly with the reason to remark the centennial celebration of media education from 1920 to 2020. Firstly, our greatest pleasure to welcome Shri B.S. Yediyurappa, Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Karnataka, for accepting our invite and honoring the media forum and inauguration of International Conference on Media Education. Also thank him for being with us today in spite of his extremely busy schedule. I heartily welcome Dr. C. N. Ashwath Narayan, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister and Minister of Higher Education, Information Technology and Biotechnology, Science and Technology and Skill Development, Entrepreneurship and Livelihood for being the chief guest of the conference. I with pleasure welcome the face and pride of Bangalore City, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Venugopal K.R., a distinguished educator of Association of Computing Machinery and Scholar Fellow of Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers to preside over the conference. To initiate the discussion and enlighten us on the importance of media education and legacy it holds, we have amongst us a list of distinguished speakers. I am honored to extend a very warm welcome to our speakers. Professor H.S. Ishwara, a renowned communication scholar and the former Dean, Faculty of Communication, Bangalore City. I welcome you, sir. We are eagerly waiting to listen to your talk today. And Dr. Usha Raman, the Vice President of International Association for Media and Communication Research, who is our keynote speaker for the day. On behalf of the Department of Communication, Bangalore City, I welcome you, ma'am. We are honored to have you with us today. Also expressing our utmost acclaimment for my department colleagues, Dr. B. K. Ravi, Professor and Chairman, Department of Communication, former Registrar of Bangalore City and Conference Chair of Media Education 2020, Dr. B. Shailashri, Associate Professor and Coordinator, Media Education 2020, and Dr. Vasundhara P.M., Assistant Professor and Deputy Coordinator, Media Education 2020. I welcome all Vice Chancellor of different universities, professors, academicians, veteran scholars, editors, renowned journalists, media experts, research scholars, students, and other friends across the world for assuring their graceful presence. Also welcome the backend team, Ms. Manasi, host Dr. Prashant V, Manjunatha T.A., Vinod Kumar Dichavan, Onkar, Anjita Sasi, the technical coordinators. Not the least, my media friends who are remotely covering the conference proceedings. I formally welcome one and all. I hope you have a wonderful and insightful learning in coming 2 days. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjeev Raja, for the welcome speech. A very warm welcome to you too. And thank you for being a part of the Department of Communication and putting this event together. With that, we are all set to begin our first day of ICME 2020. That's International Conference for Media Education. To give us a quick overview of this conference, I now invite Dr. B.K. Ravi, Conference Chair, ICME 2020, Professor and Chairman, Department of Communication, Bangalore University, Gyan Bharati Campus. Sir, the spotlight is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Greetings from the Department of Communication, Bangalore University. Shri B.S. Yediyurappa, the Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka, Dr. Ashwath Narayan, the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister and Higher Education Minister, Government of Karnataka, Professor Venugopal K.R., the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University, my mentor and media education expert, my guru, Professor H.S. Ishwara, the Vice Chairman of IMCR, Dr. Usha Raman, senior colleagues, academicians, researchers, students, and friends from media, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy that all our fraternity, all our media educationists, as well as professionals from the media, from different parts of the country and different parts of the world has joined us. Once again, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you. India is a rapidly changing country in which inclusive, high-quality education is of utmost importance for its future prosperity. The country is currently in a young bulge phase. It has the largest young population in the world, a veritable army of 600 million young people under the age of 25. India has one of the largest education systems in the world with 1.4 million schools, 36,000 higher education institutes, and 227 million students. The literacy rate has seen a steady progress since independence in 1947. The Indian education system at the primary and secondary level consists of both private schools and government run schools in the whole country. As all of us know, the Indian government rightly considers education the key catalyst for promoting socio-economic mobility in building an equitable and social justice claimed society. Education in India has an ancient tradition that dates back to the Vedic period. By the time European colonists arrived, education mostly took place in traditional Hindu village schools called Gurukulas, or in Muslim elementary and secondary schools called Maktabs or Madrasas. These British colonists then imposed an education system based on the British system and introduced English as the language of instruction. The first institutions of higher learning in the Western sense to emerge in British India were the University of Calcutta, the University of Bombay, and the University of Madras, all founded in 1857 based on the model of British universities. The period after independence was characterized by rapid proliferation of teaching institutions across India as the country attempted to create a modern mass education system under the leadership of its first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. India's first constitution, adopted in 1950, called for the provision of free public and compulsory education for all children until the age of 14, an objective that still eludes the nation today. Enormous progress in expanding access to education over the past 70 years notwithstanding. Now we are celebrating the 100 years of media education in India with over 100,000 publications, 1,000 plus television channels, close to 700 radio stations, countless number of news websites and news apps, podcasters, bloggers, vloggers, YouTube channel, and other 1,000 colleges and university departments and institutes offering mass communication and journalism teaching programs. India has one of the largest media ecospheres of the world. Though the first newspaper in India appeared in 1780, and the first regional language newspaper appeared in 1818, professional training and teaching of journalism began in 1920. British socialist and writer, activist, and publisher Annie Besant, she was instrumental in starting the media education in Adyar, which was in Madras, under the Theosophical Society in 1920. So later on, many of our universities, they started in independent India in 1947, and after 1947, quite a lot of universities started their departments. And that's how, since 1920, we have what is called the media education. The foundation of media education was laid in the year 1920. Now we are celebrating the centenary of media education. And Karnataka was one of the pioneer states in the country to start media education. I think in the year 1951, the Department of Journalism, under the leadership of Sri Nadi Krishnamurthy, started an undergraduate journalism course in Maharaja's College, Mysore. So if you look into the history of media education in Karnataka, I think it is my profound duty to recall the names and the contribution of veterans, Dr. Nadi Krishnamurthy, Dr. Epan, and Dr. Professor H.S. Ishwara. In the year 1973, the Department of Communication was started by Bangalore University. So now today, maybe around 1,000 colleges throughout the country, we offer journalism and mass communication courses. There are quite a lot of education institutions. The undivided Bangalore University, we earlier had around 120 colleges which used to offer undergraduate courses in journalism and mass communication, because as all of us know, before the division of Bangalore University was one of the largest in Asia, with more than 700 affiliated colleges and more than 6 lakh student population. Under this Bangalore University, more than 120, 130 colleges, they used to offer undergraduate courses in journalism and mass communication. Now, even quite a lot of, maybe 50, 60 colleges, they offer quite a lot of programs in postgraduate programs in journalism and mass communication. So we are very happy under the leadership of our Professor K.R. Venugopal. It's a great pride that he's also the alumni of this department. We are celebrating the centenary of media education in India. So in Karnataka, being one of the earlier states to start journalism education in India, I think we are very happy and we are very grateful for all the researchers, academicians, and professionals from the media for accepting our invitation and attending this international conference. My dear friends, I think it is high time we may have to, as the media educators and professionals from the media, we may have to sit and discuss quite a lot of things, because there's quite a lot of gap between the media industry and the academia. This is a very important thing which we have to sit and discuss. And I request all the senior media educators of the country to sit and seriously run through their own ideas, so that because the requirement of the media industry should be known by the academia, and the problems faced by the academic institutions should be understood by the media industry. If that is the case, definitely we can strengthen the media education in this country, because we are of the strong opinion that it's only the healthy media which can create a healthy society. There's a lot of social responsibility among the media educators of this country, because we can't straight away neglect and we cannot ignore the developments which are happening at every point of time in Indian media industry. As all of us know, we have the problem of commercialization, privatization. There are quite a lot of things where even the media is also facing quite a lot of problems. Even after COVID-19, after February, I think Indian media industry has suffered a lot, and even including our a lot of media schools could not function, and we have quite a lot of is just a passing. It's just a time where it's a very difficult time, and all of us are in really great trouble. So it is high time both of us should sit together, and we have to discuss our own problems. And the second problem is the mushrooming of media schools, because quite a lot of private institutions are also starting media schools, and quite a lot of universities and a lot of institutes, they are coming up with media schools. And at some point of time, I think there should be some regulation, there should be some affiliation. So I think this international conference, since quite a lot of media educators throughout the globe are participating, I think we may have to think about having a common code for our journalism courses and our media schools. And even we have quite a lot of problems with our nomenclature. Each department calling us in different names, and we are affiliated with different faculties, and some of them are recognized, some of them are not recognized. quite a lot of people, students, they come and join, and in some private institutions, they, without affiliation, they are granting diplomas. So I think I request this august body and all our media educators to think on these lines. And is it possible for us to pass a resolution in this international conference to urge the government of India and all the state governments to have a medical education council of India to look into the code of ethics and the syllabi or the training, because even majority of our institutions, we lack training. There is a lot of gap between the industry and the academia. If there is some uniformity, if there are some code of ethics which needs to be inserted, and I think it is high time we have to sit, we have to discuss. And once again, I welcome all of you, and I wish you all the best, and I request all of you to stay with us 2 days, because there will be a lot of media educators throughout the globe who will be participating in 2 days conference, who will be presenting their reviews. We have a global perspective, we have a separate session for South Asian perspective, and we have senior media educators from the country who will be discussing about the Indian perspective of media education. So I think I see all our senior professors. It's a very huge list. So once again, I welcome all of you. Thank you very much for your kind encouragement and support. And without your support, and I think I had to thank my colleagues, Dr. Sanjura, Dr. Shailashri, Dr. Vasandra, and all my research scholars who have worked very hard. And I think I should not forget the blessing of my guru and mentor, Professor H.S. Ishwara. And I also thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Gopal K.R. for his support, because without his support, I think I would have never conducted quite a lot of events. I see quite a lot of senior media educators. Once again, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you, and it's a historical session. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you so much for so passionately outlining the history of media education in our country. And it definitely is a beautiful story, sir. Thank you for setting the expectations for the conference by listing the challenges faced by streams such as ours, and for calling out to bridge the gap between academia and industry. I guess that gives us a brief idea of the kind of excitement we all have in the next 30 hours. Thank you so much for that, sir.
Thank you.
It's now time for the inauguration of this international conference, and we have none other than the Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka, Shri B.S. Yediyurappa, who has agreed to be here to do the honors. I now request Shri B.S. Yediyurappa to please inaugurate this conference.
Audio.
सुखिनः सन्तु सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्.
Thank you so much. We're glad, sir, that you were able to make it despite your busy schedules. Firstly, a very, very warm welcome to you. It is my pleasure to please introduce Shri B.S. Yediyurappa, Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Karnataka, to the participants and the speakers of this International Conference of Media Education. Shri Yediyurappa's public service began when he was appointed as the Secretary of Sang's Shikaripura unit in 1970. Since then, his service to the state and to the people have identified him as one of the senior politicians and a promising chief minister from Karnataka. He is the only chief minister from the state to serve in this post for the 4th time. And also, he is the only person to serve 3 times as leader of the opposition in the Karnataka Legislative Assembly. He is an 8 times MLA from Shikaripura constituency in Shimoga district. He led the BJP to a historic victory in the state, and Karnataka became the gateway for BJP in South India. by gaining a full majority and a total of 117 out of 224 assembly seats in the 2019 Karnataka Legislative Assembly by-elections. Shri B.S. Yediyurappa became the 19th Chief Minister of the Karnataka government. I now request the Honorable Chief Minister to please address the members present in the conference. Sir, the spotlight is all yours. Requesting the technical dean to please patch us.
Deputy Chief Minister Dr. C.N. Ashwath Narayan, Professor Venugopal K.R., Vice Chancellor Bangalore University, Professor H.S. Ishwara, Dr. Usha Raman, Vice President, International Association for Media and Communication Research, Dr. B.K. Ravi, Conference Chairman, International Conference of Media Education 2020, learned professors, dignitaries, media educators, media professionals, researchers, scholars, media students, friends from the media, and ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I congratulate the Department of Communication, Bangalore University, for observing centennial celebration of media education of India by organizing the international conference. In India, the first Indian newspaper started in 1780. The first effort of formal education in journalism was recorded in 1920. You must remember Dr. Annie Besant for beginning this media education to formally train journalists. Later, several institutions
Looks like a small technical glitch. I request the technical team to confirm this and please patch us to the Chief Minister's office, please. Well, I guess that's about it from the Chief Minister's office. Thank you so much, sir. That was very encouraging, and thank you for being the inspiration for us to do the centennial celebrations. With that, we move on our spotlight to Shri C.N. Ashwath Narayanan, the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, who has gracefully agreed to be the chief guest of this international conference. A warm welcome to you, sir. It is my pleasure to introduce Shri C.N. Ashwath Narayan. He is the Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka and also holds other portfolios, being the Minister of Higher Education, Information Technology and Biotechnology, Science and Technology, Skill Development, Entrepreneurship and Livelihood in the government of Karnataka. The Dhobi Ghat initiative by him supports the livelihood of 400 families and has now become a national model. He completed his MBBS degree from Kasturba Medical College, Manipal, under Mangalore University in 1995. He held various positions in his career. Few include convener of Dr. Cell, Bharatiya Janata Party, founder president of Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Bangalore, vice president of Bharatiya Janata Party, Bangalore district, Senate member of Bangalore University, syndicate and Senate member of Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Employees Association, Bangalore. I now request the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister to please address the participants. I request the technical team to please patch us to his office.
Bangalore University is organizing in the mark and respect and to celebrate the centennial celebration of media education in India from 1920 to 2020. To mark the celebration, University is conducting two-day international conference on media education. ICME 2020 with a tagline, a legacy to hold, a future to build. Since media education in India is celebrating centennial celebration, I think we can't think of a better function than the conference. I would like to congratulate Bangalore University Department of Communication, which was established in 1933 for taking the initiative by their Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University, Operation Assumes. So today, our respected Bangalore City initiative for the cooperation and responsibility taken by educators, Professor Usha Raman, Vice Chairman, ICR, Dr. B.K. Ravi, my good friend, Conference of the and Chairman for Department of Communication, professors, dignitaries, media educators, Honorable Chief Minister,
Should we shift the intro?
to congratulate the department, Professor Dr. E.K. Upal, the first university that experiment in 1975. Since 1970, contribution of the department yes,
Hello, how much? We switch day 5 seconds to full stop.
70s, 80s, in public relation, or full the
It's completely. Stop sharing. Stop. We'll stop it. No, stop.
So sorry about that. Looks like the technical glitch. It is difficult in times like these. But sir, thank you so much. That was Sri C.N. Ashwath Narayana, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, our chief guest for today. Of what I could make out, he was definitely speaking about the strength that media holds in today's world and how it is important to keep that communication going in pandemic times like these. Thank you so much, sir. Um, if we have the chief minister and the deputy chief minister spending their time despite their busy schedules with us, I can only imagine how important media education is in today's world. And we are on. I welcome you to the 2-day international conference on media education, a legacy to hold, a future to build. This year, we complete a whole century of media education in India. I now invite Professor H.S. Ishwara, renowned communication scholar and senior educator. It's my privilege to introduce him. He was my professor at Manipal Institute of Communication. He is the former chairperson, Department of Communication, Dean, Faculty of Communication, member of Academic Council, Senate, and Syndicate at Bangalore University, Dean, Faculty of Communication, Calicut University, Chairman and member of Board of Studies in Journalism and Mass Communication at Bangalore University, University of Mysore, Osmania University, Hyderabad, Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi, University of Kerala, University of Madras, Bangalore University, Karnataka University, Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore, Sri Padmavati Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, Tirupati, and Manipal University. He has served as an expert member on boards, appointments of selection committees for faculty positions on several occasions at various institutions. He is a member of Karnataka Press Academy, also a member of Karnataka Association for the Advancement of Science, Bangalore. He has been honored Lifetime Achievement Award 2013, Karnataka Media Academy, Government of Karnataka 2014, Achievement Award for Sandesh Samskriti and Shaikshanika Pachitana 2002, PRCI Samvahana Achievement Lifetime Achievement Award, Public Relation Council of India, Bangalore Chapter 2012, and many more. He had edited
Rajyosava Award by Government of Karnataka.
As well. Yes, sir. I went through the list. It is so much to talk about. He's also edited the Communicare, a research journal of the Department of Communication, Bangalore University, ICCTR Journal, publication of the Indian Council of Communication Training and Research. He's also on the editorial advisory committee of Journal of Media and Social Development, University of Mysore. If I go on and on, there is pages to talk about him, sir. So over to you, sir. The spotlight is all yours. I request the technical team to please patch us. So we can hear you. Please go on.
As someone associated with communication, teaching, and research in this country for long years, it's a matter of enormous joy for me that the time has come to celebrate the centenary of journalism and communication education in India. At the outset, let me congratulate Professor K.R. Venugopal, Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University, Professor B.K. Ravi, and the Faculty of Communication, Bangalore University, for organizing this program on an international level to commemorate the event. I wish the program becomes both memorable and meaningful. The occasion, the centenary year, calls for reminiscing the milestones of it, reviewing and introspecting. What started as journalism training on a small scale at Adyar University by geosophist Dr. Annie Besant in 1920 has become journalism and communication education in 2020, assuming huge proportions, both in terms of academic standards and popularity. Until the times of Indian independence, journalism training in this country was sporadic and limited to teaching basic skills. After independence, journalism as a course of study at the undergraduate level was introduced in many universities like Madras, Calcutta, and Mysore, and postgraduate programs in several universities around 70s of the previous century. Today, communication and media related courses have become common in almost all Indian universities. Now, communication education has become interdisciplinary, and the contents of these courses have also become specialized and varied. Besides basic skills, inputs of communication theory, research, management, ethics, and applications find a place in most of the courses. Also, specialized courses on media management, electronic communication, ethics, uh, corporate communication, educational media, development communication, and the like have been introduced in various universities. This is in response to the developments in media technology and to the needs of society and democratic polity. In the early days of journalism education, media organizations were somewhat skeptical about professional training in colleges and universities and showed little enthusiasm to hire college-trained students in their organizations. But with the changing of times, the attitude has changed more favorably as the journalism and communication graduates have become more acceptable in the media industry and elsewhere. There is a realization that professional training is useful and even essential. There are many challenges facing communication training. The programs must be so designed as to provide a better all-round understanding among the students to enable them to report and interpret the news events in the proper historical, social, and political context. The training also demands imbibing a sense of professional ethics and social responsibility. Higher education in any discipline is not all about imparting knowledge, but also requires creation of knowledge. I am suggesting that besides teaching, there must be emphasis on research. Quality research in communication departments is not forthcoming at the expected level. Although a plethora of doctoral dissertations are churned out at various universities, their contribution to creation of knowledge require careful assessment. Close collaboration between universities and media organizations is highly warranted to make the training more professional and acceptable to media organizations. Inputs from media organizations, both in terms of in-house procedures and practices and the present seminar, I hope, will address to some of the challenges encountered by communication and media education programs and offer useful suggestions to make the programs more meaningful professionally. It's my fond hope that the transactions of the seminar will offer guidelines for the betterment of communication education in the coming years. My best wishes to the success of the seminar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for outlining the history of programs of journalism and media communication. Also, thank you so much for highlighting the change in attitude towards education in this field and giving us the social, political, and the economic context. And of course, where there is Ishwara, sir, there must be media ethics and social responsibility. Thank you so much, sir. People like us are really privileged to have studied under you. That's a lot of congratulations pouring in from the Chief Minister's office, the Deputy Chief Minister's offices, to professor and deans around the world. We are seeing it all. A big, big, big thank you to all of you for the wishes. Trust us, it's truly a matter of pride for us to do the centennial celebrations. Please note that we are live on YouTube as B.U.B TV and on our official page on Facebook. I now invite Dr. Usha Raman, Professor, Department of Communication, University of Hyderabad, Vice President of International Association for Media and Communication Research, to please address the gathering. Before that, I would like to introduce Dr. Usha Raman. She has obtained her master's in journalism and PhD in mass communication from University of Georgia, USA. She moved into academia after close to 2 decades of experience as freelance journalist and health communications practitioner. Her teaching interests include news reporting and feature writing, specialized writing in science, technology, environment, and health, feminist media studies, science, health communication, and social impact of digital media. Her research has been in the fields of cult, and she has been honored with Fulbright Nehru Academic and Professional Excellence Award by United States of India Educational Foundation, Fulbright Foundation, and International Research Collaboration Award by University of Sydney, Australia. She is a life member of International Association for Media and Communication Research, member of committees like Feminist Media Studies, the George Institute of Global Health, and many more. Over to you, ma'am. The spotlight is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's always a little embarrassing to hear you introduced in these, often glowing terms, but thank you so much. Good morning to everybody, to the dignitaries here, the Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Yediyurappa, the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, Shri Ashwath Narayanan, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University, Dr. Venugopal, Professor Ishwara, whom we just heard from, fellow academics, emerging scholars, students, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be here as part of the International Conference on Media Education, hosted by Bangalore University to commemorate 100 years of journalism and mass communication education in India. I'm grateful to Dr. B.K. Ravi and the organizing committee for having invited me to deliver the keynote address. It's indeed quite an honor and a lot of pleasure. So I myself am a product of one of the oldest departments of journalism in the country, Osmania University, and now as a member of one of the newer, but certainly not very new departments at the University of Hyderabad, I feel particularly grateful for this opportunity in which I can reflect a little bit on the big picture of media and communication education in India. Just a few months ago, I engaged in a similar reflection as part of the final plenary of the IMCR annual conference, where the focus was on the future rather than the past. And I realized then that in some ways, those two directions are actually convergent. We cannot think of the future without considering what we bring from the past. In that event, we talked about the challenge of the digital. In the Indian context, especially now, with our issues of uneven access and differential levels of digital literacy. But as this year has shown us, it's a challenge that cannot be ignored, whether in media education specifically or in education more generally. But that perhaps is another conversation for another time. For now, let me focus on the broader theme of the conference and some more general reflections on the challenges and opportunities for media education. I myself come to media education after several years as a practitioner, and even today, after decades one decade in the university, I'm constantly navigating these worlds. How can we teach journalism and communication in a way that combines intellectual rigor with strong skills in writing, image making, storytelling, and analysis? How can we produce students who are lifelong learners, who can turn the media industry into what we would like it to be? A true pillar of democracy. How do we as media educators position ourselves within the academy? And how do we serve our many constituencies, students, the industry, the academy, our own society and that of the world, and of course, the environment. We can probably add to that list. These are all big questions, and I think some of them will be addressed in the many excellent sessions that I see that you have planned over the next 2 days. 100 years is certainly a milestone, and looking at our history can ground us in important and insightful ways and help to give us some direction in which to proceed. To trace the beginnings of anything can be a very tricky endeavor, but it's also a necessary one. And understanding our history, indeed situating ourselves on a timeline, can be both affirming and productive. Journalism as an academic discipline, that is, one that belongs in universities, is now taken for granted, but it hasn't always been so. Despite its long presence in the halls of higher learning, after all, we are celebrating 100 years of this, it's often been seen as a vocational stream, one whose aim is to produce human resources for the media sector rather than one that builds knowledge. But as Professor Ishwaraya mentioned, we are in the business of producing knowledge. Depending on where one looks, there are different origin stories for journalism education and communication education in India. One version has it beginning with Annie Besant in the Adyar Theosophical Society in 1920. Hence, 2020 becomes the 100th year. Followed in the next decade by diploma courses at Aligarh Muslim University and Bhavans Institute in Kochi. Another trajectory takes Singh in Punjab University in 1941. I would argue that these two are both legitimate points of origin, each representing different aspects of what we now call journalism and communication education, a broader, more inclusive conception of a discipline that encompasses media practice, as well as its critique and research into its processes and products. One can be fairly certain that there would have been some form of journalism apprenticeship and informal training decades before that, as long as there have been newspapers and any form of public communication, in fact. But for the sake of convenience, let us say that it was 100 years ago that the first curriculum-driven attempt was made to develop talent for this fundamental democratic institution of media. It then becomes a precursor to the other great democratic project, that of building a nation out of the detritus of colonialism. And if we are to accept that origin story in which Annie Besant features, these two projects of a courageous and strong media and a self-determining nation are closely intertwined, both metaphorically and materially, in the person of Besant, who also played a not inconsequential role in the independence movement. I think that particular juxtaposition is important to remember as we continue to train young journalists and communicators who we hope will embody the principles of a critical and independent media and an empathetic professional communication sector. This is something we need even more urgently today, affected as we are by infodemics of different kinds, in health, in politics, in culture. The media and communication are certainly sectors of prime importance, requiring well-trained, thinking individuals who can make the right judgments at different levels. But I'm going to leave the writing of history to the media historians, and in turn, turn towards a consideration of the present so that we can also think about the future of media education. Professor Ravi mentioned that there are over 1,000 programs offering some form of media education in India, both private and public. As most of us here would know, university undergraduate programs usually have journalism and communication, along with many other subjects, a selection of subjects in humanities and social sciences, focus exclusively on media skills and related subjects. Postgraduate programs like those offered at the University of Hyderabad and also at Bangalore University allow specialization within media streams while also introducing students to research. There's quite a wide variety among departments in the country, and as a consequence, again, as Professor Ishwaraya mentioned, debate exists around issues of standardization. So if you graduated from Tezpur University, you would probably have been through a very different kind of program than if you'd gone to Gujarat University or Anna University or even the University of Hyderabad. Over the years, there have been several critical studies of journalism education in India, beginning with a highly cited review by Professors Eapen and Thakur in 1989. There's agreement that journalism training needs to combine critical thinking and an understanding of social, political, and economic realities. There's also agreement that the location of journalism as an academic discipline is crucial to achieving the larger democratic purpose of the fourth estate. There seems to be concurrence and an assumption about having faculty who can deliver these twin objectives of critical thinking and skills. The criticisms over the years have also remained fairly consistent. The gap between industry and academia, again mentioned by several previous speakers, needs to be narrowed. Students need a more solid grounding in applied ethics, and we need to keep up with the changes in technology. Any discussion of the future of media education needs to address these issues. I'll try to look at each of these briefly. First, the industry-academia gap. This is a challenge that faces not only media departments, but all academic disciplines that serve a professional sector, whether it's management or social work or law. Just as the best business schools have a continuous and symbiotic relationship with the corporate world, it's important for journalism schools to build strong relationships with professional journalists and with media organizations so that evolving best practices and management practices can be taken into account. But as academia, we have an ability to critically reflect on media practice and the ability to contextualize it, so that too should be added to the mix. And that's something we can offer the media. But media organizations can give us a reality check so that our syllabi and our classroom instruction is in sync with contemporary practice. I know that this is already happening to some extent in departments, including my own, but it would be good to have a more systematic and deeper collaboration. The idea of professors of practice, for instance, mid or late career journalists who can give a year or two to education would be one way to do this. We could also think of sabbaticals that allow academics to spend a few months periodically in newsrooms so that they can see how practices have changed. Basically, we need to find regular channels of communication and interchange between academia and industry. Next, the ethical grounding. With the increasing prevalence of fake news fueled by image manipulation and technology-enabled sharing, unverified claims masquerading as news, opinion disguised as fact, the climate of journalistic practice has become quite complex. While journalism education can certainly not correct all the problems besetting industry, we can try to give our students the critical and ethical tools that can help them navigate this space. Usually our ethics training is restricted to just one course among a dozen, but we need to perhaps focus on discussions around ethics through all our courses. An ethical compass is very closely tied to a deep understanding of context, and this is something we need to create opportunities for. And communication is a crossroads discipline, as it has been often said, and it must produce students who can occupy that intersection with an appreciation of multiple disciplines and knowledge bases. These days, media education finds itself in a rather strange position. At the core of our teaching is the belief that journalism matters, that it can be a force for good, for positive change, for calling out the wrongs of those in power and pointing to what's unjust in our society and polity. But at the same time, trust in media institutions is eroding, and there's a widespread sense in the public that journalists are no longer the independent voices that they can depend on. The nexus between politics, business, and media further complicates this and narrows the space for independent coverage. So how can we educate our young students in a way that allows them to navigate this complex landscape of mistrust and powerful negative forces, and yet hold on to their ideals, their ethical center? How do they balance pragmatism and idealism? These are questions that we must grapple with as teachers in our classrooms and in our conferences. This is certainly a tall order for any department, to not only offer a grounding in skills, but to also develop the intellectual capacities to look at society and culture critically, empathetically, and with curiosity tinged with humility. This means that we need the kind of people who can deliver such an education, and we need to invest in such faculty. There is criticism that public universities and colleges have found it difficult to keep up with the rapid changes in technology, that modes and methods of journalism taught in universities are out of sync with contemporary newsrooms. This is a valid criticism to some extent, as universities, especially public institutions like my own, have found it difficult to upgrade their infrastructure and keep up with industry. But pedagogy is a problem too, and this manifests in two major ways. A little acknowledged but widely experienced issue, and I think all of you teachers out there will empathize with this, is the absence of evidence based or thoughtful strategies to address the needs of a socially, culturally, and linguistically diverse student body. And this is a student body that enters higher education with an often inadequate level of undergraduate preparation. And this is something that's particularly observed at departments like mine, which offer only a master's program. And accompanying this is the absence of good training programs for young faculty, many of whom come to the teaching of media without themselves having ever worked in industry. Capacity building of faculty, therefore, must be an ongoing process. And this is something that organizations like ICA, IMCR, and others within India are very keen on focusing on. And this cannot be relegated to simply doing a few approved courses to fulfill API requirements. And communication departments across the country need to collaborate to come up with continuing education programs, maybe in conjunction with industry, to ensure that our methods and our content are in line with what is in demand. At the same time, if we are to retain our critical edge as a discipline that not only feeds media practice, but also contributes to it, we must balance the need to service the industry with creative and skilled young professionals with the need to move our often flawed media systems in new directions. After all, universities are, or should be, places where society is continually remade in a more just, more equitable, and more creative image. Another area where university departments can do better is in media literacy efforts. And we need to help build these skills in the general public. And recent times have underscored the need for everyone to become critical and informed media consumers. But notwithstanding these challenges, as we move into the second century of media education in our country, we have much to be proud of. We have a diverse range of programs, and young people across the country can find a place to apply to no matter where they are. Media studies is no longer a marginal discipline, with practically every large university boasting of a department, not to mention several mass communication universities devoted to the discipline. In the 80s, when I completed my journalism degree at Osmania University, there were no doctoral programs to speak of. In the 90s, when I returned from the US with a PhD, there were a handful, but the number of seats in most places was in the low single digits. Today, all the major departments offer doctoral programs and receive hundreds of applications from hopeful candidates. Scholarship is thriving, with Indian researchers regularly publishing in flagship journals, while also bringing out a number of edited and authored volumes with top-of-the-line publishers. There's much to feel good about, but as I have outlined in these past several minutes, many challenges remain. We need more forums like this where we can come together as fellow educators to find ways to keep our programs energetic, rigorous, and relevant, and where we can learn from each other's approaches and share our experiences. Conferences such as these give us opportunities, and we must make the most of them to zoom into the issues that are important. Once again, my heartfelt thanks to the organizing committee of ICME 2020. Best wishes for a productive 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you so much for delivering that powerful keynote address so beautifully, ma'am. Thank you for beautifully putting together the various aspects of the vicious circle we are in, considering today's context when it comes to media. Thank you for outlining the biggest challenge of today, the digital media, a media that is excluded with almost no regulation when it comes to comes to content. Also, thank you the perspective on different stakeholders in this industry, the students, the teachers, the institutions, the industry, and last but not the least, the environment. Also, I think the intertwining of strong media to build a vibrant and strong nation, I guess that is the highlight of the address. Thank you so much, ma'am. That was Dr. Usha Raman, Professor, Department of Communication, University of Hyderabad, Vice President of International Association for Media and Communication Research. A century ago, when media education was formalized, it was all about enabling the would-be print journalist to write for the country with an objective to wean out the social blemishes. Over the years now, the changing landscape has made it challenging for universities to design courses that are up to the mark in enabling students to make right choices that are empowered by ready reckoner information and meaningful insights. Department of Communication, Bangalore University has left no stone unturned in constantly employing best practices, new methodologies, and in inviting the cream of creme in the media fraternity as guest lecturers to bridge the gap between the college to the corporates and the industry. As one of the oldest universities, Bangalore University's pioneering steps and novel experiments have established a pathway for media education and training in India. Bangalore University has been in the forefront of imparting quality education in various streams of media communication, such as film studies, health, political, and industrial communication. And trust us, our students have set very high benchmarks in the media world for a century now. So with that, we move on to the presidential address for the day. The presidential address is being delivered by Dr. Venugopal KR. He is the Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University. Now, for those of you who are new to Bangalore University, here's a quick brief about Dr. KR Venugopal. He was the principal of UEC for 15 years, chairman, Department of Electronics and Communication, Computer Science Engineering, and Information Science Engineering in UEC. He has a brilliant academic career with 11 degrees, including 2 PhDs, one in economics from Bangalore Universities and another PhD in computer science and engineering from IIT Madras. He was a postdoctoral research scholar and visiting professor at University of Southern California, USA. He has authored and edited 72 books in economics and computer science. He has published more than 950 papers in referred international conferences and journals. He has established 2 engineering colleges and 2 schools in Bangalore. He is a recipient of over 60 awards, and I'm not going to get into that. He is honored with IEEE Fellow and ICM Distinguished Educator Award from USA for his outstanding contributions to computer science and engineering, and is the first professor from Bangalore University to receive this highest academic award at the university level in this country. He's been a leading beacon light and role model, wonderful achiever, researcher, inventor, inspirer, and very simply and a pleasant personality known for his dedication, charity, commitment, honesty, and sincerity. I now request Dr.
An
Venugopal
alumni of
to
Department of
deliver the
Communication.
presidential addresses. BK
Manasi?
Ravi, I couldn't hear that.
He is the alumni of Department of Communication, Bangalore. That's very important.
Perfect, sir. Perfect. Dr. Venugopal, sir, the spotlight is all yours.
Namaskara. Good morning to all of you. So people might be thinking that what is this Vice Chancellor doing in the Department of Mass Communication and trying to celebrate 100 years of mass media. So you know that it was Professor H.S. Ishwara who brought me to the Department of Mass Communication when I was a teacher in the Department of Electronics in UVC. The Department of Electronics in UVC was in the first floor and the Mass Communication Department was on the ground floor. That's the only difference. I moved from the first floor to the ground floor, and that was the year 1984. To just go back in time, 100 years of media. So we go back to the ages, the Vedas. In the Vedas, the people were talking, then they were memorizing and they were transmitting it to the next generation. And so was Ramayana and Mahabharata. People thought, people remembered, and people gave it to the next generation and they started writing. So the first glimpses or the first beginnings of mass media was how to make it perfect. When you talk, you might forget. When you talk, you might misinterpret. When you talk, somebody else will tell it in some other way. And even if you change your tone, it means something different. You can speak the same word in different ways, but you cannot write something differently, because when you write, it becomes more accurate. And that's where the media took its root 100 years back. Now coming to mass media. So we have seen mass media moving from, okay, your speech to written form, and the written form to a print form. Instead, even before the print form, we came back to written form. And so we have seen the Vedas and even Mahabharata and the writing on palm leaves and leaves, the leaves where they used to encrypt, and that left the record. And that is the beginning point of written media. So from the written media, we have come back, we moved on to the print media. From the print, we have moved to radio, TV, cinema, social media. Now we have YouTube, WhatsApp, blogs, the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and whatnot. So the media, that which was taking years to be transferred from one point to another point, to one person to another person, it used to take long time, and now it is instantaneous. That is 100 years of journey. The journey of media, which has moved from long distance to short distance and instant the form, and that is what we have seen a change in this 100 years. We have moved from what was there as a competition to conflict to cooperation now. We have moved from a newsroom to boardroom to a virtual room. It can be, we have moved to a device in media, whether it is anytime, anywhere, anyone, any media, any device and any language and any length of time. That's why you have now 24/7 channel. We have moved from the physical world to the virtual world. We do not know whether the media is for education, entertainment. First, you thought that TV was there only for entertainment. Radio was there only for entertainment. Print media was only for information. Now, everything is combined. And now the media controls the entire world. It might be even teaching in a school, or it might be even giving farmers information about weather, and it might be also even about rainfall and what is the temperature in the particular area, and whether it is going to be a gusty winds or a hailstorm or a tsunami. You will get it is through media. The social, economic, political, and cultural movings are now defined by what you present to the media. Whether it is from a nursery to higher education or research, it is through media. We have in our department 6 courses, that is mass media, new media communication, advertisement and public relation, filmmaking, graphics and animation, and electronic media. And that is the number of subjects which we are trying to build up a faculty of mass communication, which Professor Ishwara and Professor Ishwar had thought of, dreamt of in the year 1971. And now it is 50 years away from that. And so we have to relook and rediscover what our senior faculty had thought about. The rapid development that has taken place in the recent years in the field of information technology have paved the way for revolutionary changes in education and entertainment, both in methodologies and concept. Media has immense potentialities for augmenting education facilities and improving even the quality of education. It includes the internet-based various modern and traditional media, radio, television, video recorder, audio recorder, films, printing, material, graphics, and makes education a meaningful experiment in one's life. This media can be used in seminars, symposia, conferences, meeting, workshop, demonstration, and besides classroom teaching. Media has now become more useful to education than entertainment. We have seen that internet resources, blog, newspaper, documentaries, magazines, social media has tremendous influence on modern media. Storing and even producing of whatever you want and whatever you wear, and instant posting has changed, has revolutionized media. It has become a socialization agent. It has converted this world into a global village. The different medias which you have seen, whether it is a print, whether it is a TV or news, their roles have changed. The competition levels have changed. Textbooks are no more used. It is only the e-material which is available on our media. Whether it is career guidance or employment opportunities for the unemployed youth, whether it is any, whatever may be the language or the translation of language, it is the media which has shown the way. Television, which is the most powerful medium in electronic media, almost succeeded in quickening the pace of development and education. It has both the strength and the potential to attract both the literates and illiterates. The educational, like Indira Gandhi Open University, which has been using television as its medium to propagate whatever is planned structures, the structural programs throughout over many years. The school television and higher education television have been the source of, source of resources to the entire educational system. It is not only to train the teachers, to students, it is also a training to the teachers and all the stakeholders involved in education. If education is one part, media is, entertainment is another part. This education and entertainment has become inseparable. You can make education at entertainment level, and entertainment is through, you can also club in, integrate education through entertainment. So we have dance, drama, and whatever music. Through those forms, you can even educate people. It is this ambience which has been set over the last 100 years that has made media attractive, and so many subjects have been evolved over a period of time. And I would like at this point to tell that if you see the blogs and if you see the online diary style, quick and easy web publishing, offer instant communication, regularly updated, requires very little technical knowledge, and it is a social networking activity. These blogs have a very potential use of replacing standard glass web pages. A professor writes blog which cover interesting and development that relate to a theme of a course. So everything has become online. We have moved from offline classes to online classes. And online classes, the new normal is the social distancing has become social closeness. Earlier, we never used to talk to our teachers and our friends or classmates. Now everybody is on the social media and you have become so close. We see that in the last 8 years, the students have become very close to teachers through virtual platform. When they were physically handling classes, they were far away. Now when you are actually handling classes, you have seen that the students know the teachers much better than when they were handling classes physically. So the media has played a revolutionary role in transforming education and entertainment. And especially in this COVID year, it has a greater role to play. And if you have seen how the media has been able to spread both entertainment and education, it is really a wonder. And I'm very happy that the Department of Mass Communication is celebrating this centenary year, and congratulate the faculty members, Professor B.K. Ravi, Professor Shailishri, Professor Sanjeev Raj, and Professor Vasundhara. There are 4 people in the Department of Mass Communication, another 3, that is Professor Vahini, Professor Rajeshwari, and Professor Shripati. I congratulate the Department of Mass Media, Mass Communication and Electronic Media for their endeavor. And in the last 3 months, we are trying to plan to have 2 new buildings for the mass communication and the Department of Electronic Media, and hope we'll be able to achieve that. And I am having another 1 year, 4 months to go. I've already completed a major part, but I'm not still able to give anything to my alma mater except starting these 3 new courses, and probably Professor Ishwar's and Professor Yeepan dream will come true in the year 2021. Wish you all the best and wish you a happy new year, and congratulations to the Department of Mass Communication and Department of Electronic Media for celebrating this century year, and all those speakers who are going to present in this 2-day seminar, and all those students who are going to present 100 and odd papers. Thank you, one and all.
We definitely look forward to 2021 editions, sir. Thank you so much for so beautifully putting together the journey of communication from Vedas to media and now mass media. Also, thank you for highlighting the various aspects of technology-enabled media in today's world that makes it real time, not just for news, for entertainment too. Also, thank you for highlighting how powerful media is becoming as we progress and how it is becoming extremely important to be well equipped with ethics and social responsibility. And last but not least, thank you for highlighting how media has played a major role in bringing together students and teachers, a relationship that has built this whole ecosystem. Thank you so much, sir. With that, I now
Namaste.
request, thank you, sir. I now request Dr. Vasundhara PL, Deputy Coordinator, ICME 2020, the Assistant Professor at Department of Communication, Bangalore University, to please deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Mansi. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Department of Communication, Bangalore University, Gyan Bharati campus, as the Deputy Coordinator of the International Conference on Media Education, it is indeed my pleasure to be delivering the vote of thanks for this inaugural session today. The Department of Communication at Bangalore University, for over 4 decades, has been imparting quality education to thousands of students across the country. The department has strived towards dedicating themselves to building better media personnel and media enthusiasts through better education. This conference is a small step towards this direction and also commemorates the occasion of 100 years of media education. It has definitely been a great start to this initiative. I would firstly like to thank and extend my gratitude to our Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka, Shri B.S. Yediyurappa, for accepting our invitation and sending us that extremely encouraging message. Thank you, sir. We are indeed humbled. I would also like to extend my gratitude to to Shri C.N. Ashwath Narayan, the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister of Government of Karnataka. Sir, we are extremely thankful to you for encouraging us and supporting us through your encouraging words. Simplifying and understanding the legacy of media education would definitely not be possible without such wonderful speakers for the session today. Professor H.S. Ishwara, renowned communication scholar and senior educator, thank you, sir, for joining us today and for that wonderful talk. As a student of this department, I have heard such wonderful things about you, and I had this tiny wish somewhere that someday I would get to attend this session taken by you. And today seems like that wish did come true. Thank you, sir, for being with us today. Dr. Usha Raman, Professor, Department of Communication, University of Hyderabad, and the Vice President of IAMCR. Thank you, ma'am, for taking us through this journey of media education and throwing light upon the bigger picture of media education in the country. And also talking about not just the academia, but also the industry shortcomings. Thank you again. It has been our honor to listen to you. Your message will stay with us for a long time to come. I would like to extend my gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Venugopal K.R. Sir, your support in all the department's undertakings has been immense. We could not have thought about conducting this international conference on media education on such a grand scale without your encouragement and support. Thank you, sir, for being with us always. Our guide, our mentor, and our source of strength, our chairman, Professor Dr. B.K. Ravi, without whose encouragement, guidance, and constant support, none of this would have been a reality. I could possibly not thank you enough for putting this conference together, sir. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to learn. I thank Dr. Manjula, faculty from the Department of Performing Arts, for setting the stage and making the beginning of our 2 days conference, and with that extremely soulful invocation. Thank you, ma'am. I would also like to thank my teachers and colleagues, Dr. Sanjeev Raj and Dr. B. Shailashri, also the coordinators of this conference, for guiding us through this process of working towards putting this conference together. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I also acknowledge the presence of some of our senior educators in media education who are here with us today. Professor Usha Rani from Mysore, Dr. Padi from Bhubaneswar, Dr. Balasubramanya Raja from Tirunelveli, Professor Dod Ullah from Bangladesh, and Professor Shahid, who are all with us today. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today and help us begin this session. Our virtual existence for 2 days would not be possible without the next two names that I would be taking. Thank you, Prashant. Thank you, Vinod, for tirelessly working to make sure all our sessions carry on smoothly without any technical glitches. You guys make all of this seem so effortless. Thank you again for bringing all of us together today online. I extend a huge thank you to all our research scholars and our students for extending your unending support to all the undertakings of the department. How can I possibly forget our powerhouse of energy, our moderator Mansi? Thank you for being with us and making our sessions flow so smoothly and just being so full of energy. Thank you. Lastly, a big thank you to all the media personnel, media faculty, media experts, participants, and attendees who have logged in to encourage us, celebrate, and support us in the making of making this conference a success. I thank every single person for joining us today. Hope you all have a great 2 days ahead filled with new learning. Thank you all and have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was Dr. Vasudhara PM, Deputy Coordinator, ICME 2020, the Assistant Professor at Department of Communication, Bangalore University. Just don't go away yet, because this is just the beginning of our centennial celebrations. And in less than a couple of minutes, we are going to take it head on. We'll be starting our technical sessions lined up for today from 1 p.m. So stay tuned and we will be right back. Over to you, Dr. Prashant and Vinod.
So thank you, one and all.
Thank you. Thank you.
All a great day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Usha Raman, for
Thank
your
you.
wonderful
Thank you.
presentation. I was there, I was warned, it was a fantastic one. I was
Thank you,
flabbergasted
sir.
by the way you presented so skillfully and effortlessly without, any break in whatever you said.
We've all had a lot of practice with Zoom now, with online classes.
Okay, wonderful presentation.
Yeah.
Usha
Thank
Rani,
you, sir.
Usha Raman and Usha Rani, two are there, two great professors.
Madam Idara and Madam Idara.
Okay, ಒಳ್ಳೆದಾಗಿ.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So best wishes, Professor Ravi.
Thank you.
I'll
Thank you.
log in from time to time on the conference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Very
much,
grateful to you,
Mansi.
madam. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
It was great coordination, great moderation.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you all, folks. So we will rejoin in another.
Professor Ravi, I will be leaving.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Vamsi na?
Mansi.
Vamsi ಅಂತ
Mansi.
ಏನ್ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀಯಮ್ಮ, ಬಹಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀಯ.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mansi, don't go away, because host will have the problem for reconnecting.
Getting back, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm right here. So we'll convene at about 1 o'clock for the technical session, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Sir, Professor, unmute ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ sir? Okay. Vasundhara, are you? Vasundhara, ಒಂದು ಫೋಟೋ ಕಳಿಸ್ದಾ?
ಕಳಿಸ್ತೀನಿ